Hello indie game fans, you cannot get a much better deal than free, so here are the best recent indie games, with the critical distinction being that these are not free to play with microtransactions, but are fully standalone free titles beginning with OMFG 1 Million Fatal Guns, a cleverly named title that is actually a student project out of DigiPen, being a roguelite first-person shooter that basically took the gimmick of Borderlands and having randomly generated guns to the tune of over 30 million possible variations. The different modifiers interact with each other in fun ways, along with high mobility options for traversal, and you have an excellent all-action title that I cannot believe is free. Free games are a good way of trying out genres that you don't usually play, case in point being Idol Showdown, a fighting game that has hololive VTubers as playable characters. This is an unofficial fan game, hence why it's free, of the developers being fans of the hololive universe and wanting to share it with other fans. And while personally, I don't really know anything about them outside of a few characters that keep popping up, VTubers are a big business, but the critical thing is, whether or not you're a fan, the core game itself is good, so why not give this a go? I don't usually recommend developers to release their games in December, since Game of the Year and Game Awards content plus the holidays results in a decreased likelihood of their game being covered, and such is the case with Grimhook, a first-person platformer in which you use a grappling hook and Lovecraftian powers to make your way through the ruins. There's combat in this, but for the most part, it is about wall running, jumping, and using your hook on anchor points or enemies, with the biggest complaint that I have seen being that people want more, being very high praise for a free title, with the team seemingly wanting to make a full version of this, but you can get a taste right now. Similarly, in the no harm trying since it's free camp is A Date with Death, a visual novel dating sim with an amazing visual style, in which you are both trying to fight against and date death itself. The Steam reviews of this game are a little horny to say the least, so I guess it's that kind of game, but if you have never played a visual novel, you could do much worse than this. Okay, onto a more straightforward action title in Snake Force, one that combines the classic game made popular by Nokia with shoot-'em-up action, in which you lead a snake of soldiers as they move around firing on enemies. It is short and sweet, with the developers saying that the 5 levels or so should take you no more than 45 minutes, being a great palate cleanser in between bigger gaming experiences. I was absolutely enraptured with the pixel art style of If on a Winter's Night 4 Travelers, a game with perhaps a strange title, but it's a throwback point-and-click adventure game. It tells the tale of 4 characters attending a masked ball event on a train in the late 1920s with some horror overtones since something is not quite right. It does have the classic gameplay elements of finding key items and using them to solve puzzles to advance the story, so nothing revolutionary here, but the art, writing, and sheer atmosphere created is worth experiencing. A neat little action platformer is Jaded, one in which you can slow down time and have a 360 degrees dash mechanic, allowing you to reposition yourself to more effectively take out enemies, but is also used in the platforming sections. The pixel art is simple, but it works for this game, with the dash mechanic being fun to mess around with. Interestingly, this is in early access, which is strange for a free game, with there being 2.5 levels in this version, although the developers promise more, but there are no Steam news updates, so I'm not sure if they're still working on this. Another entry in the visual novel space is South Scrimshaw Part 1, one that tells the tale of a newborn whale in the vast alien ocean presented as a nature documentary.
In a vast alien ocean, 3 million light years away, our documentary team brings you the story of one life navigating the unknown.
Developer Agovic has made some interesting games such as Apple Slash and Lulu's Temple, with the action platformer Gun Devil being a free entry that is certainly worth a play. It sports their signature pixel art style and look of very colourful backgrounds, but with characters and enemies primarily being white in colour. It is all about saving your kidnapped wife from Satan's child, having 9 levels and 4 weapons, and is a lot packed into a small package, being another title that I cannot believe is free. Developer Mike Klopnicka's latest game in Buckshot Roulette has blown up in popularity, and if you appreciate the weird and unique art style, do go back to Unsorted Horror, released on Steam in 2023. This is a horror game compilation of 5 short games, all taking place in first person, with the central theme all revolving around machinery. Each of the 5 stories has interesting descriptions, such as pulling data from a nest of spiders, and a game revolving around plastic explosives and Soviet apartment buildings, so how's that for intriguing? Free games, even more so than paid ones, are the realm of the weird, since if there are no expectations of commercial success, developers can really go wild with their ideas, and such is the case of Pineapple on Pizza, a video game that tries to convey a flavour, being a first-person walking sim that is just 10 minutes long, so go check it out for yourself. If the visual style of Swallow the Sea seems familiar, that is because it is from the same developer as the underrated roguelite RPG Brutal Orchestra, down to the colour palette, in which you play as an egg cell in a sea of freaky humanoid fish, having to consume smaller life forms to grow while avoiding being eaten yourself, being freaky and weird and is worth a play. I know that a number of you don't play puzzle games, but if you're watching, do give Handshakes a try, since yes, that is the theme of this video, it is free and good. It is similar to the block-pushing puzzle game Sokoban in concept, of which there are many variants, including the excellent Baba Is You, with this being light-hearted and fun with some real head-scratchers. One of the most amazing meta games is Outcore Desktop Adventure, one that takes place on your computer desktop but with our heroine on it, with puzzles, mini-games and more meta puzzles like having to open Windows apps and digging through file directories. It is definitely from another time, taking inspiration from those desktop virtual pets, but with the developer putting their own spin on things, even teasing at some horror elements like Doki Doki Literature Club that you can see in this trailer. It is also reminiscent of older titles like Desktop Destroyer, but polished up enough to fit right in with indie games today. The top Steam reviews for this game are How is this free? Waifu Malware, and No Lumi, please don't look at my search history, so if that isn't a rousing endorsement, then I don't know what is. Similarly, in the puzzle game space, 20 small mazes are 20 tiny puzzles to solve, each with their own unique gimmick, being a great palate cleanser as well.
I mean, I've been working on this game for 4 years.
The top 10 begins with Try Again, a very impressive 2.5D platformer with a meta-narrative, in which you play as a test character in an unfinished game. Your character wants to become the main character of the game and has to survive the gauntlet of obstacles thrown at him by the omnipotent designer, reacting to and overcoming the obstacles in order to progress forward. This is a student project from USC Games, but they somehow got Nolan North and Stephanie Kurbis to voice the characters, but if this is any indication of the quality of upcoming game developers, then I have faith that we will continue to get excellent games far into the future.
Your data.
The shutdown of Mario Maker in April 2024 marked the end of an era, since people have regarded that as perhaps the best Mario game to come along in recent memory. So if you're craving more 2D platforming action in the make-your-own-level vein, then I Wanna Maker is the game for you. However, it is more as if you met Mario Maker in a dark back alley and it has a knife, since this is based on the I Wanna Be The Guy fan games, essentially unfair platformers in which the game wants to mess with you, such as moving platforms out of the way after you jump, or randomly spawning spikes where there wasn't any before. But this has plenty of levels already and a community that still seems fairly active, so there should always be more user-generated content added to this game. One of the most amazing looking titles is BESTINDIEGAMES, an exploration title set in a city with brutalist architecture and freaky looking characters having some horror overtones, but is not a horror game. Rather, you are exploring this very strange and weird city and are trying to escape, talking to people and getting key items in order to do so. And since one of the reasons why I play games is to visit new worlds and locations, this is a no-brainer. One of the best free action roguelike titles is Disfigure, a game in which enemies emerge from the darkness and you have to do your best to react and kill them all. The visual style of this game is very simple, with the white coloured character and the black shadowy monsters with occasional splashes of colour, and has far more content than you would expect from a free game, such as having over 100 upgrades and perks to choose from, as well as multiple weapons, with again, how is this free being a common sentiment expressed about the game. There are a subset of programming or hacking games that have their fans, with Bitburner being one of note, a programming-based incremental game that makes you learn JavaScript, so who said that video games are a waste of time? One of the best free experiences is Bloody Hell, an action-adventure game in which you play as an angel descending into hell to kill Satan, with bullet hell-inspired combat that is similar to Enter the Gungeon. However, it is not a roguelite and is more Zelda-like in nature, having an interconnected world and some backtracking to be done. Impressively, this was a student project that was made by just 3 developers and is an amazing game that rivals some paid games, and I cannot wait to see what else they come up with next. Comedy and free games do go hand in hand, since developers are free to take the piss, with The Looker being quite the obvious parody of The Witness and is funny because of that. While its inspiration is a highbrow philosophical puzzle game, this parodies that with simple line puzzles in which the walls of the maze don't even matter and is just a silly, fun time. This next title is also a must-play since Sheepy, A Short Adventure is a pixel art platformer that tells the tale of a plushie brought to life, and is far more clever than you would give it credit for, and is one of the reasons why the box standard 2D pixel art indie platformer doesn't stand a chance, since a game this good is free, which is awesome since I hope this pushes the genre forward. From one of the co-creators of the Fable series comes Moon Ring, a classic grid-based turn-based RPG that actually has more in common with roguelikes, with the aim of capturing the look and feel of the original Ultima games from the 1980s, which were hugely influential in his own career. I'm a 90s kid myself, so I've not played any Ultima games, but maybe I'll go revisit them someday, but from what I gathered, those were the games that inspired a whole generation of game developers, so maybe Moonring might do that as well. It is quite the expensive title, with people clocking 20 to 40 hours in this game with all the classic dungeon crawling RPG elements, and it's absolutely amazing that it is free. If you have somehow not played a Vampire Survivors game yet, the best free one is Hollow Cure Save the Fans, one that rivals and is even better than some of the paid ones, since the core action and upgrades are great and there's more to this game than meets the eye. For example, there are fully upgradable weapons known as collabs, which in turn can be combined again into super collabs, along with a recent update that adds a farming sim element to allow you to grind out more currency for upgrades, all for free, and like Idol Showdown, no knowledge of Hololive is required to know that this is a fantastic game. Watch this video for the top 100 best indie games of 2023.